oh, okay, this is the bear market now, right? But I had to kind of, for me, I had to wait for that first bounce to kind of, I thought, okay, maybe it'll go back up to 20, and it didn't. So at that point, it was just, oh my God, when is this thing going to end? You know, my Bitcoin position now, I could have sold at 20K. I'm running all the net worth situations in my head. Like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. So I was a mess that first cycle. The second one comes along, and that's FTX. And I actually even lost money in that one. But it felt different because it felt like there wasn't anything structurally wrong with Bitcoin. It felt everything was happening on the periphery. Like there's nothing new with Bitcoin. There's no block size wars. It was Terra Luna and all these other things and cross collateralization and all this, like all this funny business. And then this cycle, you know, Michael Saylor was just saying the other day, we were at all-time highs 120 days ago. The sky was the limit for Bitcoin. Public treasuries buying these things up. We have the most friendly regulatory regime. We just got a Federal Reserve chairman who's going to be probably there for 5 to 10 years, who seemingly is a fan of Bitcoin. And we're down 50%, and everyone's like freaking out, and they're latching on to reasons as to why. And the, you know, as of recording this, the narrative is, oh, there was like a hedge fund that's coming up with paper Bitcoin. But to me, it just seems every cycle I go through, the narrative for why it's down, like there's fewer and fewer really tangible reasons, and people really go grasping at straws. And I think the cope is reaching an all new level now because you have these really big players involved that took very big positions at the top, that raised a lot of debt to buy Bitcoin at the top. And instead of individuals being very leveraged, now you have a bunch of companies with shareholders, and they're paying the price for it. And, you know, it's kind of interesting because I think Bitcoin has been this asset that typically retail has front run, and now corporations are in it. And there's this sentiment that, oh, it's, you know, it's kind of like lost its luster now that corporations are into it. But it's a massive opportunity because their leverage is now allowing people to buy into a sub 6-figure price that I think a lot of us thought we would never see again. So I'm very excited for the new wave of Bitcoiners that are going to be able to start this year with cost averages lower than MicroStrategy. And I'll just say this, it's like, you can buy today, you know, and if it goes to zero, whatever, right? You'll make it back if you're young. Or you could own the asset that MicroStrategy and tons of other corporations and individuals think is going to go to 10 million a coin, and you can own it for cheaper than they purchased it for. I mean, that sounds like an awesome deal to me. If you told me that and I didn't own any Bitcoin, I'd be like, yeah, that seems like a great bet. That seems like a very asymmetric bet. I'd so much rather buy it right now than 4 months ago. What a gift. So I don't know. I'm stoked. A lot of my audience is seeing it that way. So yeah.
I like that because there's people that loved Bitcoin when it was 126K, and they're the same people that hate on it now, where it's like half the price. And I'm like, yeah, if you like an asset and it goes down in price 50%, especially if there's not a real reason for that, like there's not a real like, oh yeah, there's something. For example, the 2021 there was like a mining ban in China. I semi understand why you're selling. Like I don't fully understand why you're selling. It's not a real reason to sell, but at least there's something tangible. And I think that's what you also meant by there's not a real reason why you would sell your Bitcoin right now. We don't have an FTX collapse. Like we don't have any of the craziness of previous bear markets. It's even actually quite bullish, like the fundamentals, the regular environment. Like it's very hard to find bad things. I mean, the biggest thing seems to be quantum. I think the FUD around that, and that's another 5 to 10 years out. Like if you're selling, like, that's kind of, it's not even now here. Like the FTX thing was here now, the other things were here now, and this is kind of in the future. And I don't even think it's a threat, but like it's there's nothing bad going on in Bitcoin right now.
Well, why is quantum even a threat, right? Like, it's not like you and I are going to have our Bitcoin stolen. Like, it's going to dip. That's what people are worried about. And it's like, if you're worried about that, then, you know, I'll be a dick here, but like sell pussy. Like this is part of the asset, is we have to go through these massive experiments in governance and figuring out these problems. And I think it'll be a rough time when quantum eventually comes and there's some proof that it's cracking keys. I don't know if the community is going to be able to react fast enough to prevent like an 80% dip, but will they figure it out within 2 years? Of course, it's not that complicated to figure it out. It's just like eventually the incentive of everybody's wealth getting destroyed will hopefully not lead to like a hasty solution. But I also think, okay, cool, we're flagging this now 5 to 6 years early. There's already a whole bunch of quantum solutions for other types of keys. I don't think it's unique to Bitcoin. Every company is working on something to figure this out. And so it's just a matter of, can the community get around it? Can we come around a proposal that works and makes sense? And I think a lot of people, Bitcoiners, are like a little bearish right now because there's all this stuff going on with like Core V30, and there's just this like governance structure issue going on, it seems, with Bitcoin developers. But you got to remember, like, one of the biggest issues that Bitcoin had was the block size wars, because they were looking at the scaling problem as something that they couldn't figure out with like one clean solution. And it's kind of interesting now because like Luke Dasher, who kind of figured it out with SegWit, he's on this side that is looking at a completely different problem for Bitcoin, which is the spam problem. But essentially, like, if you look at the compressed timeline, it was like everybody's freaking out about scalability around 2012. I don't remember when SegWit came out, but there's no comparable alternative to SegWit. It's such like an odd system to figure out how to like expand witness data, and then everybody went with it and it works. And probably the Bitcoin that you have today is in a SegWit address. But that took like a year or two. And I actually think when you look back at that, nobody else came up with anything even close to that. And there are a whole bunch of people simultaneously working on quantum solutions for Bitcoin. So it took them 2 years to come around that solution. The code was audited. It made sense. SegWit's been like hassle-free, I would say. I don't see why a quantum solution would take more than a few months to kind of figure out and implement. And so it's like the only risk is that it gets cracked and then the community takes a few months to figure it out. Some of that trust maybe has to be regained. It depends whose addresses get cracked. Assumably, it might not be Satoshi's addresses. I was thinking about the game theory of this the other day. I don't think a quantum hacker would want to touch those ones because it's just like a big public, siren. I think they would probably try and go after someone else's coins that was fairly anonymous, or some other big addresses that they know aren't Satoshi ones. But yeah, I don't know. Long story short, I don't see it as like a big issue, especially if, again, why are you buying Bitcoin? Are you buying it for yourself today? Well, you should be spending some of it today then. If you're buying it for, 40 years down the line, then, the quantum thing's going to be like far removed by that point. So don't worry about it.
That's an interesting point. If a hacker wants to get some Bitcoin, he probably doesn't crack the one from Satoshi because this would make the rounds. And a lot of people would want to be just on investigating front, but also price might fall actually a lot quicker, and would be harder to liquidate those Bitcoin if they want to liquidate those Bitcoin. But it leads me to one important point, and I just saw you recently made a video on that, is Bitcoin kind of forces you to develop this stoic nature for yourself, especially if you have been in Bitcoin since like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years. You have lived through a lot of noise, a lot of things that was really hard on people if you are emotionally reacting to the market. If you're not emotionally reacting to the market and being more stoic, it was easier for you. How do you make this connection between being stoic, the philosophy behind it, and Bitcoin?
I think the volatility is an opportunity to check yourself, is kind of the way that I've looked at it. I think so many people are very emotional about something that they have no control over. That is also like a little bit trivial depending on, what your skill set is and how much of your net worth is in Bitcoin. I suppose if 100% of your wealth was in Bitcoin, you'd be a little bit anxious with the price swings because you're that's all your work is in flux constantly, maybe by 5 or 10% a day. If that was all you were ever going to produce is like your net worth for today, then yeah. But if you look at your actual time horizon, like, you're going to produce hopefully a lot more value over the course of your life. The older you get, the more risky it is, because you only have a few years remaining. You want to enjoy some of the fruits of your labor. And that's why I say, I don't want to like poop on older people, but like it's definitely like the older you get, the riskier it is to own Bitcoin, because you may not be around long enough to really substantially benefit from it versus other assets. But for me, Stoicism is a mindset that I've really gotten into lately, because I have done okay with just not looking at the price. But as a content creator as well, you are constantly put up to bat with a metric that you don't control, which is like viewership and audience viewership as well. And so you can do something and put in a ton of effort and it just goes nowhere, and you can self-doubt yourself and question yourself. And yeah, Stoicism is about just really dichotomizing what do you actually control and what is external and what do you not control. And if you just focus almost all your time and energy into what you control as much as you possibly can, usually the outcomes that follow are good, right? Whether that's taking care of your body, taking care of like your mind, choosing to spend your time to read or to work out or to take care of people around you, like all these things have tangible, predictable outcomes, versus spending any amount of time on something that you don't control, where there probably isn't a great outcome. Like consumption of like social media is something that I would say negatively impacts us a lot of the time, because it's a whole bunch of things that we don't have control over, news, events, and all this stuff. Unless you are a news commentator and your job is to have like a keen eye for the world and report it to someone else, like why do we need to care? Like, why do we need to care about what is happening in Iran or Israel and all that stuff? Unless it is your job to inform other people or to use that information to create wealth or something for yourself, it's useless. And so, similar to how Bitcoin is this filter that a lot of people are using in terms of deciding, like, is this thing worth purchasing? Should I spend my Bitcoin now on this object, or can I wait? And people have gotten really good with that with Bitcoin. Stoicism asks you to do that with your actions and your career choices, and deciding whether or not is this thing that you're doing today actually going to, produce an outcome. Do you have control over this situation? And that should dictate your reaction to it. And if you have no control over it, then you should not let it frustrate you. You should not let it, make you super euphoric either. You shouldn't get stoked over the Bitcoin price going up unless you plan to do something about that. Bitcoin price goes up, you should, temper your emotions. But if you don't plan on spending it, then like, why do you care? Like, why do you care if the price of Bitcoin goes up if you're not going to spend it or make a video about it? Like, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're attaching expectation to something that you don't control. And then when it goes in the other direction, you're going to have that expectation completely reversed. And then you're just going to be sad and your emotions are just out of flux. So Stoicism and Bitcoin, they just go hand in hand perfectly. It's just a lot of discipline and just knowing what you actually control.
A random question: are you yourself Gen Z or already millennial?
I don't know. I got the broccoli cut, letting the curls out. No, I'm not Gen Z. I am a little bit too old. I'm a couple of years off. But I like what I'm seeing. Because if you study history and the fourth turning, we could get into that. Like, it seems like they are the fourth turning generation, and those fourth turning generations, like, they have it rough, but they also have like such a massive impact for the next 100 years, more than like any other generation. Like the generations in like the 2 and the 3 turnings are kind of like, they're a little bit like left at the wayside in history sometimes compared to the fourth turning generation. So I'm stoked for them, even though it's really hard right now.
I was wondering because a lot of your videos, or some of them, are focused on the Gen Z. And when you were first like answering the question, you were also saying like it's riskier for older people than for younger. And so I was kind of wondering where the focus of Gen Z is coming. I think you even made a video around the consumption of Gen Z, where you open with like this Lee Booby and TikTok and things like it was so fun for me because all those things I only know from my fiance. We both are Gen Z, but like she follows that a lot more than myself. And I was like, oh, I all know those things because of one person in my life.
I know. I don't want to be the guy that introduces us to little boo-boos. See, that's like anti-stoicism. Like now I feel bad because I'm giving people much of useless info. But now you know what a little boo-boo is. Do you know what Dubai chocolate is too?
Yes, I ate Dubai chocolate because
it's not that good. It's so overrated.
100%. And she came home one day, was like, you have to try this like Dubai chocolate from like TikTok. And I was like, okay, so it's green. Well, is it pistachio? Okay, it's pistachio chocolate. Okay, but like, why is it Dubai chocolate? Like, the pistachio is not coming from Dubai, right?
I don't know.
But the question I wanted to ask with that is, why Gen Z, and also how does this turn into this the fourth turning that you kind of teased there?
So my thesis on this is evolving, but there's a whole bunch of interesting things about this generation coming up. And, you could argue that, it's not as soon as you're above age 28, like you're not a part of this. Like, I don't agree with that. But generally the age range of like, let's just say 18 or 16-year-olds to 30-year-olds right now, maybe 31. Just like a rough range.
The first thing that every Bitcoiner does, and the most important activity that every Bitcoiner keeps on doing, is buying Bitcoin. And I personally use Relay to buy and sometimes also spend or sell my Bitcoin. And there are two main reasons why I do so. The first one is it's Bitcoin only. They do not do any shit coins. They do not do any cryptos, any stocks, or anything else. This is a tool, an app that is fully focused only and solely on Bitcoin. The second one is self-custody. They give you the keys to your Bitcoin the moment you buy them. You never give them the control over your Bitcoin, and you don't have to trust them because you can verify that you and only you have the keys to your Bitcoin. There's no third-party risk. There's no freezing of your assets. There's no rug pulling. There's nothing of that. Download Relay, the app, on your phone, or go to relay.app on your browser and use code Robin to save fees and get cheaper Bitcoin. I want to tell you about something very special to me. It's called micro-seed. If you hold your Bitcoin in self-custody, and you should, you know how critical it is to secure your seed phrase. You should not have them on paper. You should not have them on anything else than titanium. With micro-seed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. You get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today, and you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io.